Hey everybody, John Walworth here. I've been to South Sudan a number of times now, and I have several videos about the sites there. Normally, I don't say anything negative, but in this video I want to give some information that might be useful to someone visiting there. It's no secret that South Sudan is not a safe place to visit. In fact, if you look at the safety index of the 50 countries in Africa, South Sudan is all the way at the bottom. That's not to say that you should never visit there, but it does mean that you need to try to keep as safe as possible and avoid compromising situations. Of all the dangerous situations in South Sudan, road travel is the one that can most easily be avoided. There are charter companies that will fly you between towns, and I would generally recommend doing this. Although there is some semblance of order in the towns and cities, the open land and wilderness between towns is generally very lawless and dangerous. This is unfortunate because some of the prettiest areas of the country are also out in the countryside. Last year, there was no room on the plane for me, and so I had to take the notoriously dangerous Torit Juba road. I'm a photographer, so I was eager to take pictures as we traveled. But I also wanted to see how the road has changed. You see, back in 2013, I actually traveled this road a few times when South Sudan was a brand new country. Back then, we had to stop and wait as crews cleared landmines from the side of the road. As we waited, we noticed that the ground was littered with .50 caliber shell casings and mortar shells. Even still, women were set up on the edge of the minefield selling bananas. Back in 2013, there was also heavy military presence on the road, and the condition of the road itself was in many places barely passable. We avoided bridges that had been destroyed and instead drove through the ditch next to it. Wrecked or broken down tanks littered the road in places. Heavy ruts and potholes threatened to break both the suspension on the vehicles and our spines as well. Well, I was happy to see that in the 10 years since I traveled the Torit Juba road, the condition of the road had improved significantly. It had been greatly widened and graded. It was still dirt, but it was in much better condition. What had taken 4.5 hours in 2013 now took only 2.5 hours. There was no more mine clearing equipment, and the old tanks had been removed from the middle of the road. There still weren't really any bridges. You still had to drive through the ditch and hope it hadn't recently rained. A note for any foreigners traveling the roads in South Sudan: you're generally unaware of the dangers going on around you. A better gauge is actually how nervous your driver seems. If the driver is driving way faster through a section of the road than seems prudent, it's usually because there's been some recent activity by bandits or rebels there. This happened in one particular place on the way to Juba this time. It turned out that there was a lot of rebel activity in the area, and a South Sudanese soldier had recently been there. You could also see the results of the other driving too fast through the area, as displayed by this wrecked trailer. It's really too bad because the area between Torit and Juba is beautiful. There's one place in particular that would be a rock climber's paradise. A giant granite face rises up out of the plain, and there's a beautiful village at the foot of it. Apparently this area isn't safe either though. As we entered the outskirts of Juba, there was a sense of relief but also other kinds of stress as we had to pass through numerous military checkpoints, each one being an opportunity for other problems. Also, the paved roads that had been built just 5 years ago under the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative were falling apart to the extent that it was easier to drive in the dirt near the road than on the road itself, which was already full of large, deep holes. I don't want to discourage anyone from visiting South Sudan, but if you do go, just please go with your eyes open, and if you can take a plane rather than taking the roads, do so. You will likely save yourself a lot of trouble, and you will also be able to see some of the more inaccessible areas from the air that you wouldn't be able to see from the ground as well. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, if you've been to South Sudan and have any tips, leave a comment. The unifying theme of this channel is travel and seeing the world. Sometimes I'm in Africa, sometimes the Caribbean or the United States. I try to keep things positive, but if I can help someone avoid problems, I will. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this and it was informative for you.